For thousands of years, we've all been dealing with the same stuff. Cuts, rashes, boils, you name it. But way before modern medicine came along, ancient cultures had these incredibly sophisticated ways to heal our skin. So today, we're going to unlock some of that wisdom from Ayurveda and see how they tackled ancient cures for skin.
Okay, let's dive right in. What you're looking at is a page from a classic Ayurvedic text, the Charak Samhita. I know, it looks a little cryptic, right? But these lines, they contain incredibly detailed medical knowledge that was passed down for generations. So, the big question is, what secrets to healing are actually hiding in these ancient pages?
So, here's our roadmap. First, we'll get into the core Ayurvedic wisdom about skin. Then we'll see how they diagnosed not just the symptom, but the root cause. We're going to uncover nature's pharmacy, learn the art of making a medicinal paste, and then we'll tie it all together with a philosophy that connects our skin right back to the soil itself.
All right, first up, you have to understand that in Ayurveda, a skin problem is never just a skin problem. It's not some isolated issue. Instead, your skin is seen as a window, a direct reflection of your body's overall health on the inside. So a rash isn't just a rash, it's a signal that something deeper is going on. And that brings us to diagnosis. The Ayurvedic approach looks right past the obvious symptom, the boil, the wound, the redness, to find what's really causing it. Their whole philosophy was that all disease, everything, comes from a fundamental imbalance inside the body.
The key word you're going to see in these texts is kushta. Now, this is a super broad term. It covers a huge range of skin diseases, from a tiny rash all the way to really severe conditions like leprosy. It's the starting point, the general category for pretty much anything that shows up on the skin.
And here's the most important part, the why of it all. It always comes back to the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Think of these as the basic energies that are believed to run everything in our bodies. If any one of them is out of whack, too much or too little, that's seen as the real root cause of kushta, of that skin disease. So the treatment is all about getting that specific energy back in balance.
Now get this, the level of detail these ancient physicians went into is just mind-blowing. In texts like the Aryabhishak Kalpadruma, they didn't just have one category for inflammation. No, they meticulously described 51 different types of inflammatory skin diseases, which they called Visarpa. I mean, that's an incredibly detailed understanding of dermatology, centuries before its time.
Okay, so once a healer figured out what was out of balance, where did they turn? They turned to their pharmacy, the natural world all around them. This is where we get into the real science of herbs in Ayurveda, this huge catalog of plants and minerals and their specific healing powers for the skin.
And this idea is summed up perfectly in this one quote from an ancient text. The belief was that literally everything in nature has a purpose, and if you know how to use it, it can be a medicine. Nothing was overlooked. Every single plant held a potential cure.
Let's look at a fantastic example, the Karanja plant, which is also known as Indian beech. In texts like the Charaka Samhita, this plant comes up again and again. It was basically a superstar in Ayurvedic dermatology, famous for being effective against all sorts of skin problems.
And this is where the old world meets the new. This quote is from a medical guide compiled during the British era in India. It shows that the power of Karanja oil wasn't just some ancient myth. Western doctors were actually documenting how well it worked against things like scabies and herpes, which basically confirmed what Ayurvedic practitioners had known for centuries.
And Karanja was just one tool in a massive toolkit. You had Tuvaraka, or Chalmagra oil, which was the go-to treatment for leprosy. Cassia fistula was put on boils to help them drain faster. Ashwagandha was used as more of a full-body treatment. And they didn't just use plants, they used minerals too, like gandak, pure sulfur, which is a powerful antimicrobial that we still use in dermatology today.
But look, it wasn't enough to just have the right ingredients. The real magic, the art, was in how they used them. These Ayurvedic physicians were master formulators, creating these specific potions and pastes to get those powerful herbs right to the wound or the patch of skin that needed it. And the most common way they did this was with something called a lepa. It's really just a medicated paste or a poultice. They would grind up the herbs, mix them with a carrier like oil or water, and create a topical treatment that could be put right on the problem area. This allowed all those medicinal properties to soak right into the skin.
So all of this might sound a little bit abstract, but let's make it super practical. How would they use this knowledge for something really common, like a simple, painful boil?
Check this out. This is an actual page from the Ayurveda Sara Sangraha, and right there, under the heading for photophunsi, which means boils and pimples, is a clear, simple recipe. No hocus pocus, just straightforward, practical pharmacology.
Let's just break it down. Step 1, you take pure gandak. That's the sulfur, and you grind it into a really fine powder. Step 2, you mix that powder with mustard oil until you get a paste, a lipa. And step 3, you just apply it, gently massage it onto the boil. The text even says to do it in the sun, probably to warm up the oil and help it absorb better. Simple, direct, and effective.
And this brings us to our final and maybe the most profound piece of this whole puzzle. Because the Ayurvedic worldview, it didn't just stop with the plant. It went way deeper, all the way down into the earth that the plant actually grew in.
Their core belief was really simple, but so powerful. The quality and the potency of any medicinal herb is directly tied to the quality of the soil and the environment where it grew. You couldn't separate the medicine from the land. And they took this so seriously that they actually classified land into 5 types based on which element was dominant. So, for example, Parthiv, or earth-dominant land, was known for growing huge, strong trees and was considered the perfect place to get potent purgative herbs. But then you have Vayavya, or air-dominant land, with ashy soil and thin, dry trees. The herbs from there, they were thought to have totally different medicinal properties. This was literally ecology as medicine.
So, I want to leave you with this thought. For centuries, this entire system of medicine has worked on one principle. You cannot heal a person without also thinking about the health of the ecosystem they're a part of. It suggests that the cures for our skin might not just be in a bottle from the pharmacy, but in the very ground beneath our feet. So, what can we learn today from a system that sees absolutely no separation between the health of our planet and the health of our own skin?